Hello, well here we have a prime example of how good intentions lead you to make laws, and even more laws, and then you end up back where you started. You see, this article in the BBC says single-use plastic cutlery and plates to be banned in England. Now you see here, that plastic fork there, and this polystyrene pack for your fish and chips. And they are practically indestructible and they are horrible, and if you go to a municipal dump or anything, you see these bits of polystyrene flying about in the air and wisps of plastic bags and seagulls scavenging among them all, and it's a truly terrible sight and a very depressing one. So I'm all in favour of this. The only problem is, what do you do next? When I was a kid, they were still serving fish and chips in newspaper, because newspaper was a very good insulator. Now, it was fresh newspaper. It wasn't the newspaper that somebody had taken to the lavatory. It was just whatever newspapers were left from the newsagents at the end of the day. And they were very useful. And you didn't eat the fish and chips out of the newspaper either. There was always a layer of grease-proof paper there. The newspaper itself was the insulation. It kept the heat of the fish and chips in, and it kept your hands from getting scalded by the hot food. It came straight out of the fryer. It was very hot, and you'd eat it with your fingers. All right? And that's how we used to use biodegradable products to eat our fast food in England in former years. And then they banned newspaper. Why? Because it's not sanitary. It's not being made in the proper sanitary conditions. You can't guarantee that its manufacture is completely untouched by human hands. And so they made a law banning that. So what did the fish and chip shop people have to do? They had to resort to these, stamped out polystyrene containers, which are no good for the environment and actually cost the fish and chip shop owners more money. And therefore cost the consumers more money, obviously. So what are we going to do now? If they won't let you use those polystyrene containers, then we're going to have to go back to newspaper, aren't we? But we have these sanitary rules now. And that is the problem of theory and practice. You see, all these lawmakers sitting there in their green chairs in the House of Commons, and somebody says, I think it's demeaning and insanitary for working people to have to walk home eating fish and chips out of newspapers. We should be all modern and clean and eating out of polystyrene. And so a law was passed. I'm not saying those are the exact words, but I'm quite sure that that was going through their minds. Or somebody had a runny tummy after one of these meals and there was a huge fuss about it. Meanwhile, millions of British people ate fish and chips out of newspapers, no problem at all. Newspaper is excellent insulation, isn't it? Okay, before I carry on, I'll tell you I'm Granniopteryx, and I upload all my videos onto YouTube, Rumble, BitChute and Minds, and the links are in the description. Right, yes, I also let you know when I've uploaded new videos on Twitter, Gab and Parler, also links in the description, where I am at Granniopteryx. If you're watching this on YouTube, remember YouTube tends to drop subscriptions and tends not to notify some people about new uploads I make. So it might be worthwhile subscribing to at Granniopteryx on Twitter, Gab and Parler. You can help my channel a great deal by pushing that like button, by sharing and by subscribing, checking your subscription if you are subscribed. And you can also buy me a coffee or donate in one of the other platforms which are in the description, up or down or at the side or whatever your browser shows it. All right, so let's just have a look at this single-use plastic thingy. Single-use items like plastic cutlery, plates and polystyrene trays will be banned. It's not clear when the ban will come into effect, but it follows similar moves by Scotland and Wales. Environment Secretary Theresa Coffey said the move would help protect the environment for future generations. Yeah, you know, I'm all for that. I just want them to bring back the newspaper, you know, all these pernickety laws. Wouldn't surprise me if that didn't have something to do with the EU, actually, but I don't know. So, yeah, you can do that research on your own. Campaigners welcomed the ban, but called for wider-ranging plastic rejection. Oh, there's never enough, is there? You know, in our urge for purity here. Government figures suggest that 1.1 billion single-use plates and more than 4 billion pieces of plastic cutlery used in England every year. And they do point out it doesn't decompose and can last in landfill for many years, hundreds of years. I think if Queen Victoria ever had plastic bags, they'd still be in a landfill somewhere. Although it might be useful in terms of food hygiene, it can also end up as litter, in turn polluting soil and water. Just a minute. Didn't I read a quick video about trans people who can't get HRT drugs boiling up plastic bags to get the estrogens out of them? Do you know, if somebody comes across that, let me know. I just suddenly had a flashback there. Right, and then they're giving themselves, it says here, Wales plastic ban may not be fully enforced until 2026. All they have to do is say, newspapers are fine, provided they come from unused stock. And you can use newspapers as insulation, provided there's something between the newspaper and the food that you're eating, obviously, because of the print, which is probably not that good for you. Right, well, yeah, I suppose that's it. The only point I'm making here is that you make laws with the best of intentions, they lead to polystyrene trays, and you've got an ecological problem instead of a mild risk of a sanitary problem. Okay, right, that's it. Till next time. Why not treat yourself or a favoured relative or friend to these magnificent examples of merch? The mugs and t-shirts come in the granniopteryx design or Granbo with a firearm or the more deadly knitting needles. Go to www.granniopteryx.com and whatever platform you're watching this on, please click like, subscribe and share.